tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, we will be breaking into the Tier 10 that will be released during the Blitz Fair. For any of you that are unaware, every single Christmas, Wargaming releases a Tier 10 tank. We've had the T-22 Medium, the M60, the VK90, AMX M454, so on and so forth. There's been a lot of them. This year, it's going to be the STRV K, which is an incredibly weird combination of characteristics. It has the gun of a WZ-121B. It has the hull armor of a Kron, and the turret of a Centurion Mark V-1. That right there is three different nationed vehicles with very different statistics and armaments going for them. But I guess they all combine to make one funky looking Tier 10 heavy, which if we just drag off, we're going to be talking about in today's video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is its DPM, its penetration, everything really to know about it when it comes to these statistics compared to the Concept 1B, and as well the WZ-121B. Now, I should point out that I'm pretty sure the statistics that I'm reviewing today are going to be final. I made a previous video announcing that this is going to be the Blitz Fair tank, maybe about a month ago, and in that video it actually had a lot less damage per minute. It's changed quite a bit and been buffed a lot in the damage per minute aspect. Since then, Wargaming has shown this tank in their live streams just a couple of days ago during their tournament talks, which means that most likely the statistics that this tank currently has are going to be the ones to stay, as I can't imagine they would show it on live stream saying, oh, it's got good DPM, and then change the damage per minute or something else, you know? So I would expect the tank to be final. It will be released in the Blitz Fair, which is usually around December 16th, somewhere around that date. With that aside, let's get straight into it, starting off with damage per minute. And wow, that is a lot of damage per minute. To just show how much damage per minute that is, if we were to pull out, for example, a vehicle like the WZ-113, it has 3,439 DPM, which means that it actually has less DPM than the STRV K. That is pretty insane when you think about it, just how much DPM this tank has. Now, while it has a lot of damage per minute, you have to realize that it doesn't have a lot of alpha. Look at a vehicle like the Concept 1B. 380 damage per shot for a heavy is not a lot. In fact, it's one of the lowest in Tier 10. But it's 10% higher than the 350 alpha that the STRV K carries. As I said, it's basically the same gun as the 121B, judging that they both carry the same damage per minute, and they both carry the exact same alpha damage, the same reload. I mean, they're pretty dang similar when it comes to statistics. There are some differences, but when it comes to the gun-wise, all things considered, the STRV-K has a medium gun. And it's weird, because it also has a medium turret. Now, when it comes to penetration, it's not bad, not good either. It's pretty average at 259 on the standard. It does shoot premium APCR, which isn't good pen, as we can see. I mean, running Cali, it's got 326 millimeters of pen. And I know for a fact that that is the exact same pen as we can see. The Caro carries 326. It's not great pen. I've aimed at Type 71s with the Caro. You can penetrate them frontally, but it's very challenging. It's not like an E100 with 363 millimeters of heat pen with Cali. You're definitely going to struggle to pen your premium shells. That's something you should definitely keep in mind. It also has high explosive, but nothing crazy. It does have nice damage for the HE at 440. I have to say that's really, really nice. But apart from that, it's nothing crazy. I mean, heck, the Concept's got 500 average damage for the HE, so both of the vehicles have some really nice HE, although a vehicle like the 121B, ironically, even though it has the same standard alpha, has a lot worse HE at only 400 per shot. Now, when we take a look at the shell velocity, I'm actually surprised to see it being so low at 980. The Concept 1B has the same as the 121B at 1,478. That is an absolutely redonkulous amount of shell velocity. Now, don't get me wrong, 980 shell velocity is not bad at all. I mean, to compare it to your average heavy, I mean, a Kron shell velocity is about 1,000, and, you know, a 113's is about 950, so it's pretty average for a Tier 10 heavy shell velocity. It's just kind of weird to see it having less shell velocity than a vehicle like the Concept, even though it basically has a medium gun, which you would think would warrant a great amount of shell velocity. Now, when it comes to the aiming time, it's fantastic. Look at that, 1.28 seconds. It's not as good as the 121B, but it's not a medium. It's a heavy, so it's pretty dang impressive. When it comes to the dispersion as well, it's pretty good. It's 0.317. It's not as good as some vehicles like the 215B, but apart from that, it's pretty dang accurate, I gotta be honest. Compared to a 121B, it's only 3% worse, and for the most part, it's gonna easily get the job done. You're gonna snap shots across the map with that aiming time, although there is one thing I should point out, and that is the on-movement dispersion. While on paper, the aiming time and dispersion seems very good, the on-movement dispersion is really bad when you look at it. 0.15, 0.15. I mean, if we compare that to a 60 TP, obviously the 60s is awful, but it still shows you that it's not the most accurate vehicle on the move. You're not going to be able to snap shells. The concept is way more accurate, and same for the 121B. When it comes to depression, it sits at 9 degrees, which is great. Not as much as the 10 the concept has, but it's not really much of a difference. You're going to be able to work any ridgeline in the game. When it comes to top speed, this is where the vehicle really sets its own precedent, at a top speed of 47 kilometers per hour, and that's just great. I mean, having such a fast top speed allows it to basically play like a medium with the medium levels of damage per minute. Yeah, you can start to see how this tank's playstyle is really panning out. It's more of a medium than really a heavy, but I guess we'll have to break into the armor profile to really find out. Now, obviously, it's not as fast as a vehicle like the 121B. Look at the 121B's effective power to weight, 31.3. I mean, that's multiple times faster than the effective power to weight of 15.8 that the STRV K carries. And, well, it's not a slow heavy at all. I mean, you can see it's quite a bit faster than the concept on effective power to weight, especially on medium and soft terrain, but do keep in mind that this thing isn't going to be nearly as fast as a vehicle, for example, like a T95E6 that has an effective horsepower to ton of 18.5. So you can definitely see the difference between a vehicle like the E6 compared to a vehicle like the STRV K. When it comes to traverse speed, pretty good, 30 degrees a second, same as basically all the other heavies here. When it comes to camouflage value, not as good as a vehicle like the E6 that has 18%. It's actually really good, but it's pretty average, 9%. It'll get the job done, just like a Concepts camo. If we take a look at the hit points, it has 2,440. However, this is something I should point out. This vehicle can get more hit points because it carries sandbag armor. It also has reactive. I don't really think the reactive is going to be that big of a deal for this tank because I just run the sandbags and call it a day. Keep your DPM, don't take away consumables. But yeah, it's a really good tank when it comes to hit points. If you can put enough sandbags on, you'd probably get it up to about maybe 2,600-ish hit points. That's quite a bit. Yeah, so that'll be quite nice. The final thing we should showcase is the armor profile of this tank. What is it like? Well, this is what it looks like. Let me just center it for you here. Now, ignore this green here. That's actually not how it's going to be. The armor of this tank should look like this. It's the exact same armor as a Kron. So basically, the upper plate looks like that. It's just a little bugged, I guess, from Armor Inspector. But yeah, the upper plate's going to be all red. Expect it to be something like that. So it'll be quite good. It's the same as a Kron. That means if you're loading premium ammo, yes, it does have weak spots, but for the most part, it's upwards of 300 millimeters thick. That's pretty good, especially if you're like running enhanced armor. I wouldn't run enhanced because it doesn't really have, I mean, it's a Kron basically, so it doesn't have the most armor, but as you can see, if you use the vehicle hull down, especially with the 9 degrees of gun depression, you're never going to penetrate that upper plate. However, you do have to keep in mind that the turret is not super thick. To be fair, this is a Kron using 374 mils of heat pen. A lot of mediums you'll be going up against, and most vehicles aren't going to penetrate this. You can see it's upwards of 600 millimeters thick, so for the most part, it's actually got pretty good turret armor, especially when you're hull down. Yes, these are cheeks, but they're not the largest cheeks in the game. I mean, if we were to do a bit of a comparison really quickly here and pull out a vehicle like a T110 E5, we can also see that the E5 has big cheeks, you know, by this standard. So it's not actually that big of a weak spot, even though it looks like it is. It'll definitely be penned quite a bit, in my opinion, but the fact that it even has good turret armor in general, I mean, if we were to get out a medium, which is what you're most likely going to be fighting in this tank, this is what mediums are going to see. It's going to be a tricky pen, and add that in with the fact that this vehicle has great mobility, 3,400 damage per minute. It's going to be a really strong vehicle. Now, I should point out that this is not going to be an overpowered tank. From the statistics I'm seeing here, it seems to be a very skill-based tank. If you're good at the game and you understand mobility and where to position this tank with the turret armor and how to use it correctly, you'll do pretty good, especially because you'll notice there's really no hatches on it, which is great. So when it comes to this tank's playstyle, it's really going to be down to the beholder. It's not going to be one of those tanks like the Concept 1B, where you can just roll out and, be impervious for the most part. I mean, look at the Concept. It doesn't matter what ammo you load, you're not going to pen it. So it's not an impervious tank. It definitely has weaknesses, but the strengths it has, oh boy, are they strong. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, and let me know what you think about the STRVK in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.